All right, today for Algebra 1, we have section 3.4, the percent equation. Okay, so our objectives are to apply the percent formula to find the part, the percent, or the whole, because there's three components to it. And we're going to use the percent formula to solve real life applications. So these word problems, you really got to take the time and focus on them. Okay, but notice we're using this percent formula or percent equation for all of them. So first up, we have percent. Percent is the ratio, we've been talking about ratios a lot, of a number to 100. Okay, we're always taking the percent out of 100. So if we have a decimal, 0.6, that's equivalent to 60 hundredths. Remember, you have to think about the decimal having a hundreds place. The 6 is in the tenths place, the 0 is in the hundredths place, so it's 60 100ths, or 60%. That's where it comes from. So in the next one, we have 0.02. This is equivalent to 2 over 100. Very good. Which would make this 2%. Our next example, we have 0.81, which would be how many, what number over 100? Good, it'd be 81. So 81 100ths is equivalent to 81%. Okay, so just practicing with some of those. So the first thing, example 1, write each fraction, or write each as a fraction and a decimal. So we're going backwards this time. If we have 92%, that's the same as what we did up here. So that's equal to 92 out of 100 if we write that ratio. And so 92 out of 100 would be equal to 0.92 hundredths. Because remember, this is the hundredths, THS there, place value. You can't tell that says THS, but that's the 100ths place value. Same thing, 4% is 4 out of what? Good, 100. Because percent means 100. Look, it's 100 written sideways. Ha ha ha. All right, and 4 100ths is what decimal? Good, 0.04, right? Because it's the 4 is in the hundredths place. The hundredths place. Okay. Hopefully this part is review, just getting you warmed up for today. Example 2. We're just going to keep going where we're going to write each as a decimal and percent. So now I'm given a fraction. Oh, this one looks a little messier. It's 3 over 5. I need my denominator to be 100, right? Okay, so 5 times what is going to give me 100? Yeah, 5 times 20. Okay, so I'm going to multiply this by 20 over 20. Because 5 times 20 is 100. So 3 times 20 would give me 60 hundredths. Okay, and then I could have 60 hundredths would be 0.60. Or you might just write 0.6. That's fine. I'll take either of those. And then that would be what percent? Good, 60%. Okay, same thing with B. You can say, all right, well, I want my denominator to be 100. So 4 times what gets me 100? Well, 4 times 25. So 1 times 25 is going to give me 25 hundredths, which you probably already knew. So that as a decimal is 0.25, and it's 25%. Now, a different strategy that you could do, you could also do division. You don't have to do this problem like this. You could do 3, because like we talked about the other day, fractions are division. Ratios are fractions. Fractions are division. You could divide and get your decimal. So we could take 3, divide it by 5. Okay, 5 does not go into 3, so we put a decimal or a 0. And we add a decimal place so we can start adding zeros, right? Because then that makes us 3.0. 5 goes into 30 6 times. We subtract 30, have 0 left over. So 0.6, which is what we have. And then once you know that, you can make it into your percent. You could do it that way as well. Okay, there's a lot of different ways to get the decimal for it. So same here. If we wanted to divide, we would do 1 divided by 4. 4 does not go into 1, So we can put the decimal and add a 0. 4 goes into 10 2 times. That's 8. We have 2 left over. We can add another 0 because there's nothing else. 4 goes into 20 5 times. We subtract 20, we have nothing left. Now we have our decimal 0.25, which we had this way too. How you get to your decimal is up to you. Okay, you have choices. All right, example 3. Write each as a percent and a fraction. Okay, so this one is larger, right? Notice it's 1.55. So this is 1 and 55 hundredths. But this 1, right, it's a whole. So this is actually like 100 out of 100. So we have to put these two ideas together. We have 100 plus 55 over 100. This might be making it too simplified for you, but, right, so 1.55 is simply 155 hundredths, okay, and that's 155%. Okay, the whole counts as 100, as 100. And you could reduce those as well, like you should reduce those, that fraction there, right? 155 over 100, like 5 would go into both of those. So if I did that, that would be 31/20ths if I reduce that. But that's okay. We're looking for it out of 100 too. So either way is okay most of the time. All right, so then we have 2 and 100th. So this is going to be 201%. Okay, 201% is going to be 201 over 100. So 201%, 201 hundredths. The other thing you might think about with these is if you multiply by 100, because it's out of a percent, it moves your decimal to make it 201%. Okay, so however you kind of want to look at that is truly okay. It really is okay. Okay, let's flip to the back side. Here we have our percent equation or the percent formula. Okay, the percent equation is any problem involving a percent can be translated into the percent equation. Okay, notice that any problem. Okay, so the percent equation simply states that the percent of the whole is equal to the part. So percent times the whole equals the part. That's it. So what percent, oh wait, what percent, that's our P, of 85, that's our whole, is 17. That's our part. Let's make that A, I suppose. Because percent and whole don't have an A in it, but percent has a R and a T. So we'll go with A. So we need to set this up. Our percent, we don't know, it's P, times, I'm plugging it into this formula. My whole is 85. Let me get rid of this X. I tell you guys all the time I don't like the X, and then I use it sometimes. So it's percent times the whole, which is 85, equals the part, which is 17. How would we solve this? Like, how would we balance this equation? Okay, good. We divide by 85. So our percent is going to equal 17 divided by 85. 17 divided by 85 is, again, you can use a calculator. We've talked about that. Whatever. On your calculator, you're going to get a decimal, though, 0.2. Okay, but we need a percent. We need a percent. So what is 0.2 as a percent? Good. It is 20%. I don't know what happened to my 0 there. 20%. All right, let's look at example 5. What is 45%? Okay, so here we have our percent of, that's multiplication, 236. Well, that would be our whole. So in this case, we're looking for the part. What is 45% of 236? We don't know the part, okay, the A. But we're going to put these in our formula. Our percent is 45. Okay, so we need to set that up. We need to put the 45, this percent. Maybe we should make a note that this has to be a decimal. Or if you want, it could be a fraction out of 100. It just can't be the actual percent. So 45% is 0.45 times the whole. So 236 is going to equal our part, so the A. So 0.45 times 236 equals, what's it equal? Put it in your calculators. Good. 106.2 equals our part. 106.2. Okay, but again, you notice how we're putting each of these each piece of information, we're putting it in the equation or in the formula where it belongs. Okay, I'm going to have to erase and move up a little bit. I hate to do that, but okay, so example 6. 78 is, notice this is means equal, 130% of what number? Ooh, so there's our whole. So 78 is our part, because it is 130%, there's our percent, of what number? This time we're looking for the whole. So again, if we go back to our formula, percent first, 130% is what decimal, or what fraction? Okay, I'm going to go with 1.30, or 1.3, times our whole. We don't know our whole, so it's times the W, equals our part. Our part is 78. So how would I solve this? Good. I would divide by 1.3 or 1.30, whichever one you have. So then W would equal 78 divided by 1.30, which is what? Excellent. It is 60. Okay, so 78 is 130% of what number? And the number is 60. And that should make sense because 78 is more than 30, but 130% is more than 100%. Okay. Now on to a couple of real life problems here. Example 7. How many gallons of 2% milk does it take to yield 1 gallon of butterfat? And there's a note here. 2% of the milk is butterfat. That's how milk is named. Okay, so it says write and solve an equation. Okay, so we have a percent. So 2% of the milk is butterfat. We're asking how many gallons of 2% milk does it take to yield 1 gallon of butterfat? Okay, remember our equation is the percent, right, times the whole. So percent times the whole equals the part. So what's our percent? 2%. Okay, so we've got 2% times our whole. What's our whole? We don't know, right? How many gallons? So we don't know our whole. It equals the part. Well, our part is the 1 gallon of butterfat because it's going to take way more than this. All right, so we just need to change our 2% to a decimal. What's 2% as a decimal? Excellent, 0.02. So to make our equation, our percent, 0.02 times, we don't know what our whole is. We're talking about milk, so I'm going to call it M. Equals, my marker quit. It does that sometimes. Oh, my board quit too. Awesome. So equals 1. I'm still recording. There we go. So how would we solve this? Divide by 0.02. Very good. So M would equal 1 divided by 0.02 is 50. Perfect. So 50 gallons. So how much milk will we need to make 1 gallon of butterfat? We'd need 50 gallons of milk to make a gallon of butterfat. Crazy, right? Did you guys ever know that about percent? Like 1% milk has 1% butterfat in it. That's why you don't want to use 1 and 2% milk to try to make butter. You want to use whole milk or something like that. Anyway, that's a science lesson, not a math lesson. Example 8. Miss Grandy received 17,490 of the 31,800 votes cast in the election. What percent, there's our question, we're looking for percent. What percent of the votes did she receive? And did she win? Write and solve an equation. Okay, so we have our percent. Now we look here and we need our part and our whole. Miss Grandy received 17,490. Well, that's our part, right? Of the 31,800 votes. That's the whole that she voted. So we're going to take our percent, which we don't know. So P times the whole, 31,800, equals our part, 17,490. That is a comma, not a decimal. How would we solve this? You can use that teeter-totter if you want. You're going to divide by 31,800 on both sides. So our percent equals, what is 17,490 divided by 31,800? All right, good. We get that decimal, 0.55. Convert that to a percent, right? It's out of hundredths. So 55 hundredths, or 55%. So what percent of the votes did she receive? She received 55% of the votes. Did she win? Yes, she won, right? Because she got over the majority. She got over 50% of the votes. So she did indeed win the election. All right. There you go. Hopefully you have some time to work on your homework, get it, or the problems for this lesson, and I'll see you tomorrow.